So let's talk about Cole Palmer, the kid who went from a quiet 6-year-old in oversized football shirts to being that guy everyone's hyping in 2024. Here's a crazy stat for you. In the last 20 years, only 2 players under 22 have completely taken over a Premier League season. First, it was Cristiano Ronaldo in 2007-08, dropping 31 goals and 6 assists while leading Manchester United to glory and bagging his first Ballon d'Or. Then there's Erling Haaland, who went full-on cheat code last season with 36 goals and 8 assists for City, smashing records like it was nothing. And now, the next name in line is Cole Palmer, 22 goals, 11 assists in 2023-24. On a Saturday morning in Manchester, Keith Fletcher noticed Cole Palmer for the first time. Just 6 years old, Palmer was a quiet kid wearing an oversized blue jersey, dribbling the ball like he was born to do it. Whenever he scored, and it happened a lot, he didn't celebrate or even smile. He'd just stand there, unsure of what to do next. That trademark Cole Palmer celebration came much later. Even at that young age, Palmer stood out. At a time when most kids dreamed of playing for Manchester United, he chose Manchester City, despite being a lifelong United fan. It was an unusual decision, but Palmer thrived at City right from the start. Keith Fletcher, who had been involved in youth football for years, knew Palmer had talent, but imagining him as the player he would become? That seemed far-fetched back then. I knew he was good, but to think he'd become the player we're all talking about today? Not a chance, Fletcher later admitted. By 2010, Palmer was splitting his time between school, grassroots football, and watching his dad play Sunday League. His natural talent was impossible to ignore. Coaches were constantly amazed by his vision on the pitch. One of them once said, "Every game I'd catch myself about to shout, 'What are you doing?' only to realize a few seconds later that his pass was absolutely brilliant." Clubs quickly noticed him. Liverpool, City, and even his beloved Manchester United came calling. But when United offered only a trial, Palmer didn't hesitate to turn them down and join City instead. In 2018, during a meeting to evaluate academy players at City, Palmer's name came up on the potential release list. His performances had dipped as others outgrew him physically. At 5 feet 7 inches, he was struggling to keep up with the bigger, faster players. Many thought he didn't have what it took to make it. Jason Wilcox, the academy director, stepped in and changed the course of Palmer's career. "He's incredibly clever," Wilcox argued. "You can't see what he's seeing on the pitch." Within a year, Palmer hit a growth spurt, shooting up to 6 feet 2 inches and silencing all doubts about his potential. By the following season, Palmer wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. He captained City's under-18s to a league title, contributed 20 goal involvements in just over 1,100 minutes, and led the team to the FA Youth Cup final. In the final, he assisted the equalizer and scored the winning goal, lifting his jersey to reveal a tribute to Jeremy Whiston, a former teammate who had tragically passed away. Despite his success in the youth system, breaking into Pep Guardiola's first team wasn't easy. At 19, Palmer was training with the senior squad, but still playing mostly with the under-23s. Even after racking up 19 goal contributions in 1,200 minutes and dominating his age group, Guardiola gave him just a handful of appearances. Palmer's commitment never wavered. On one occasion, he played for City's first team, grabbed a quick snack after the match, and rushed back to join the under-23s. That night, he scored a hat trick. When asked about it, Palmer downplayed the achievement. "If there's a game happening, I want to be in it," he said. But despite his dedication, injuries and limited opportunities held him back. Guardiola repeatedly promised him, "Next year will be your turn." Yet when Gabriel Jesus and Raheem Sterling left the club, making room for young players, Palmer still found himself on the sidelines. By the time City won the treble in 2023, Palmer had a Champions League medal but barely featured in the campaign. Frustrated with his lack of game time, he decided to take matters into his own hands. That summer, after starring in England's Under-21 European Championship win, where he scored the winning free kick in the final, Palmer returned to City determined to play regularly. Instead, the club signed Jeremy Doku, another young winger, for €65 million. Faced with the prospect of limited minutes yet again, Palmer made his decision. When Guardiola suggested a loan move, Palmer refused. "No, and I want to leave," he told the club. It marked the end of his 13-year journey with City and the start of his rise as one of Chelsea's key players. Cole Palmer carried himself last season like he knew he was going to be the main man, and his performances backed it up. One of the most thrilling sights in the Premier League, watching Palmer stop dead on the pitch, his body slightly angled, left foot barely brushing the grass as he sized up a defender. It was like he was daring them to make a move. The moment they did, he'd already decided. Drop a shoulder and sprint left, fake and cut right, or slip the ball between their legs. He wasn't just flashy, he was clinical. Ask Diogo Dalot, left chasing shadows after Palmer faked him out at Stamford Bridge, or Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who found himself spinning in circles after a trademark dragback at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And who could forget the filthy nutmeg on Jared Branthwaite? Stamford Bridge erupted before Palmer coolly smashed the opening goal against Everton. Lee Johnson, a former manager who knows a thing or two about top talent, once described him as a matador showing his shoulder. Palmer's stance, his precision, and his control over the ball left defenders helpless. Palmer's left foot was Chelsea's finest since Juan Mata's heyday. Last season, he averaged 4.1 live ball passes that created shots every 90 minutes, ranking him 5th in the Premier League for players with at least 1,000 minutes. That blend of flair and function made him Chelsea's creative heartbeat. And yet, he wasn't just about finesse. That left foot delivered under pressure. Clutch penalties against Tottenham, Arsenal, City, and Manchester United, all slotted home like it was the easiest thing in the world. Even in the Carabao Cup final against Liverpool at Wembley, Palmer played with fearless composure, stepping up in the biggest moments. Palmer rarely lost his cool, except perhaps when he gave Nicholas Jackson a shove during a heated penalty argument against Everton. But beyond that one hiccup, no opponent, no pressure, and no crowd ever seemed to shake him. His calmness, both on and off the ball, was uncanny. He could slow the game to his rhythm, thinking faster and seeing plays before they unfolded. Positionally, he was a master of finding gaps. Whether as a false 9, a number 10, or a right winger, Palmer excelled in the right half space, dictating play or sneaking into dangerous spots unnoticed. Palmer's shooting? Pure artistry. His 73 shots last season included a mix of outside-the-box curlers and clever finishes inside the area. Against Everton, he side-footed one into the far corner. Against Newcastle, he bent a near-post beauty. And then there was the lob over Jordan Pickford, with his weaker right foot. Alan Shearer summed it up. It's one thing to pick your spot, but another to actually hit it. Cole does both. Inside the box, his movement was just as sharp. His runs start well before the ball gets there, Shearer added. When you're in form like he is, it feels like the ball always finds you. Palmer didn't rely on power. He was all about precision, often tucking the ball into the bottom left corner with a finesse that made it look effortless. And of course, there's the cold Palmer celebration, arms crossed, rubbing his shoulders like he's freezing. It's not just iconic, it's a statement. It says he's unbothered, untouchable, and utterly in control. Do you think Cole Palmer has what it takes to become the face of football in the next few years? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Like this breakdown? Hit subscribe, drop a like, and stick around for more deep dives. Until next time, stay cool, just like Cole Palmer.